Alright, back in the garage. Happy St. Patrick's Day. It is a Friday. Time change has happened, which is why you can actually see outside the windows for the first time ever. I've been extraordinarily busy getting the RX7 ready for a track day that I had this past weekend. In the mix of that, I got the flu and the starter died on the Tahoe. Not a good combination because I literally dealt with both at the same time. But yeah, so RX7 ran though at the track day, did well. Small update, the flickering light is actually staying on now. It just randomly seemed to affect itself and it stays on. Lexus is in here because it was making a weird sound on the front end, sounded like a pulley. When I went to put the new belt on after replacing the tensioner pulley, I noticed when I was wrapping it around the crank that you can like wiggle the crank around. You know, wiggle the crank pulley. That's not good. And the car and the spring was going to need a timing belt and water pump anyway, so I was like, well, to get the pulley off, I got to take all the radiator and everything off. So I might as well just do it all. But because I had to get the RX7 ready, the Lexus has been sitting. Unfortunately, I very much miss my Lexus, my daily driver, IS300, 5-speed manual, limited slip diff, stock engine, makes plenty of power really for around town, Megan Racing coilovers, basic sway bars, rides pretty decent. Well, it's comfortable, not the sportiest as far as the dampers, but it does good enough. It's perfect for what I need for a daily driver. Only downside is it drinks fuel, because it's an inline 6 from the 90s, really. But I'm okay with that. I'm a car guy. Whatever. Anyway, RX7. Remnants of the flu. It ran. I already put the videos up from the autocross. Weekend after that, track day. Went well. Very happy with the car. Obviously, it's here. It didn't catch fire or anything like that. Learned a lot at the track day. First session, just went out, took it easy. Before I went out, let the car warm up to 180 degrees. First warm-up lap of the first session of the morning. Granted, it was 40 degrees and slightly wet. Coolant temperature dropped all the way to 130. So yeah, don't think cooling's a problem, which was one of my concerns because I don't have the radiator shrouded. It's just kind of sitting there. But for now, seems to be doing good. Even later in the day, longest session I got with it, it only went up to 160. So yeah, I need to make block-off plates to get the motor to actually heat up. First session, just did a couple of laps, brought it in, made sure everything was good. It was awesome. Next session I went out, and what was this? Oh, I did about 4 or 5 laps. Car was doing good, then I couldn't get it into 4th gear. 3rd to 4th, nothing. I was instantly upset because, for those of you who have followed, that is the rebuilt transmission that took 3 months to get. And instantly, I didn't know what it was, so I was like, great, I can't get into 4th gear. I can get in 3rd, I can get in the 4th, or 5th, can't get in the 4th. What it is, on the Mustang, well, not a Mustang, the T5s, supposedly, they don't have something to stop it from when you go forward and backwards, something internally to stop the movement forward to back. I've seen the inside. I don't think that's true. But whatever. All the aftermarket shifters have these things where it's a threaded stud with a jam nut to hold it in place. There's one here, and there normally is one back here. And that, let me make sure you can actually see that. That's your stop for when you go forward to 1st, 3rd, and 5th, and then back for 2nd, 4th, and reverse. The nut on the backside came off due to vibrations, and then the stud started threading its way forward to where it interfered with the shifter, and I couldn't get it into 4th gear. Easy fix, as you can see. I just took it off. Easy enough. So that settled that. I did about 4 or 5 laps that session. Rest of the car was fine. 3rd session, no problems. Did the full 20 minutes. Started to dry that session. This car was rather sketchy in the wet. First time I've had a non-ABS car on track. let alone one with 185 tires that are 700 tread wear. But they're actually not bad. They impressed me. More on that later. Third session. Right, we're on the third session. 20 minutes, out on track the whole time, no problems, enjoyed all of it. Actually, there was one issue. When you're in the car, at least mine, I can see out the rear view, no problem. But that mirror are so little bitty tiny, you can't see anything. They're pretty much useless. And it looks like they're just dirty. That's as clean as they get. They're also power mirrors that I don't have power to because the car's stripped. So I got these lovely little clicks. So I can basically, out of these, on both sides, I can see either the ground or the sky, nothing behind me. So I'm planning on maybe doing different mirrors here, more the convex ones, and then I'm also thinking of getting a nice big one for up here so I can see better, which would be fantastic. So yeah. That was one of the big learnings. Then after the lunch at the track day, pop the hood. First session after lunch was 2 hours after the last one. The track was pretty much dry, which was great. So I could really start making progress on getting some speed out of the car. And so that session, it was like, you know, you have your out lap, which was slow. The next lap was a 150, which matched my previous fastest from the morning. Then I did a 148. Then I did a 146. But then after the 146, car got stuck off the course. It was muddy, had a splitter. When it went off, splitter went plunk and basically acted as an anchor to get him stuck in the dirt. You can see it happen. It happens. But unfortunately, I was having a really good session. As we were coming in, though, I noticed the exhaust sounded a bit different. Normally it sounds awesome. It sounded a little funky. Long story short, what it ended up being, on the back of the cylinder head, on this side, actually, I think it's normally on both. Yeah, I think it's normally on both sides. But on the back of the cylinder head, there's a threaded port here where they either have plugs that thread in, which on the front, that's what they do for a lot of the accessory mounts on this side and that side. Or on the back, they use that for EGR. Race car, no EGR. One of the threaded plugs on the front, I installed on both sides of the back. The one on this side, off that exhaust header, the one right back here, came out. So it was shooting hot exhaust right against the firewall, right out the engine. And that's why it sounded funky, because it was a giant exhaust leak. Also, my air-fuel ratio was like way off because it was just leaking out. So it was a bit funky. Well, leaking out / letting fresh air in. That's why it was reading weird. So I ended up deciding calling it a day early because I didn't have anything to fix it with. So obviously I'm kind of disappointed with that. But in the end, the car ran great. No major issues. My times were pretty good. As I said, in the afternoon, it just started to dry out. I was getting faster and faster. My fastest lap, I had to lift multiple times to let people by because I'm in the fastest group, so there's like supercharged Corvettes with slicks and all that kind of stuff. There was actually a Pinos Esperante race car. Things are so beautiful. But yeah, he was out in my group too. He was a cool guy. I was next to him in the parking area. But yeah, car ran great. Handles great with the sway bar. Actually handles better at AMP than the Lexus did when I took it out there the one time. Beautiful balance, which is hilarious because I did align it, double check the alignment before I went. Rear, 0 toe, 0 camber. It's a solid axle. It's the way it should be. Front, just a hair, about a 1/16 of toe out, and then positive ½ a degree of camber. But the balance, as I said, was perfect. You lift off, the front end would tuck in and get turned in, but it wouldn't just swing loose. On the power, it was pretty stable. If I wanted to, I could just stomp on it, get it loose a little bit. Diff is pretty much open diff, though, so you can't really, you can kind of drift, but not really. But overall, I was super thrilled with how the car did. Didn't even use much gas. That was the other thing I was happy about. I was surprised. I brought tons of gas with me, but I really wouldn't have needed it. So overall, very happy. Funny enough, when I get back to these tires, Third gear, I could actually put the power down. Gearing's ridiculously short, by the way. Third gear is really like second. It goes to about 53 miles an hour from my calculations. But so these tires compared to the old ones at the autocross, third gear, put the power down, no problem. So the next autocross should be a lot of fun. And even though they are, positive half degree of camber, 700 tread wear, 185, all season tires, this car was pulling 0.95 Gs. Which really impressed me, and I could tell because it was hard to hold myself in. That seat has no bolstering. I was sliding all over, so my arms were getting tired. But this car overall, I'm really impressed with the potential that it has. Things are in the works to remedy suspension tires. Preview, there's a wheel there. There's another shock there. My mind's thinking. Those of you who know me, I have crazy thoughts. I'm a suspension chassis guy, for those who don't know. Thus, I have Öhlins on my Miata out there. Mazda 2 has a custom coilover with Kona yellows that I built based on a Civic Si for the front and Focus for the rear. I was hoping I could get Öhlins for the Lexus, but they don't exist, and it's just a daily driver, so I'm calming myself down to not spend that kind of money. But things are going good. So I have thoughts. There are bad thoughts. There's very bad thoughts, which I'm not going to do. But then there's that line of thinking, which is going to happen. It's just a matter of in what version is it going to happen, me doing it or someone else. Probably myself, which I'm fine with. So moving on. So the RX7 is going to sit for a while. I'm probably going to do just basic planning, some basic suspension stuff, and then going to work on tightening up steering, adjusting that. There's definitely some slop in the steering, which makes transitions funky. But going to work on the front and rear suspension, get something in there. Rear axle is going to be in the works, so I have gearing that I can do more than 103. I actually topped it out on the front straight, which was hilarious because it wasn't even when it was dry. And I kept having people pass. I kept having to point people by when it was dry, so I never got a good run on the front straight. So it's got potential. It's there, especially once I get a real motor in it, which for now the power is fine. It's plenty. I'm actually surprised how quick it is on track. But soon there will be videos of the Lexus. That'll be tonight / tomorrow and Sunday. We'll be working on taking it apart. Notice there was a rabbit, or not a rabbit, a mouse or something that made its home under here when it was sitting outside. I'm not super thrilled with that. And the battery died from sitting for 3 months, but it is now charged. Battery tender for the win. Brought it back from 2 volts to 13. So I will move it on to some videos from the track day. Not much, because there was just a lot going on with the car. I had new safety equipment, getting everything going. It was very busy. So I only had 2 sessions that I actually had the GoPro running. But I got some video, and I will follow that in after this.